here once again with another chapter for the Gilded Rose book. Book 1, of course, from Emma Hamm, and today's chapter is chapter 2 from the 5-chapter preview that I am going to be doing. Don't forget to like and subscribe my Facebook, like my Facebook, subscribe my YouTube page, and of course, listen to me on Spotify or Anchor.fm. It's all up to you. And like I said before, since I'm reading a fantasy book, I thought it was, pretty fun just to add some music to it. Trust me, I love adding fantasy music. It just feels like you're in the book or whatever, but it's so magical. It is. It's a magical place of lifetime. And I think it's pretty cool that, Emma Hamm created the retelling story of Beauty and the Beast, because not only is book 1, gargoyles and everything. Of course, in this book, they're called the Dread, and I think it's pretty interesting that she wrote this 3 books that's retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I thought it was pretty cool. And I'm so excited that, I'm reading them to you. But of course, like you said, it's not going to be the whole entire book because of the fact that, she has an audio. So I'm just giving you a 5-chapter preview of, her books and stuff. But basically, you can order the audio and order the books on Amazon. And the 3 books are called Gilded Rose, book 1, book 2 is Emerald Rose, and the 3rd book happens to be Midnight Rose. I call it the Rose Trilogy because it ends with Rose, so I find it very interesting, and I love it. I really do. I love how it's just so magical in a way. So, let's continue, shall we, with Chapter 2. Master, it is done. The shadows on the wall stretched and warped as one of the Dread made its way up the stone stairwell leading to the top of the chateau. Hunched and misshapen, the creature tried to make itself small and unnoticeable. The King of the Dread wondered which one it was. They all looked the same to him. These days, hundreds of people turned into the monster living in the towering rookeries. Behind the chateau, this highest tower was his haven, and the only place he traveled to when he needed space to think. All their voices echoed in his head, the torment of 1,000 souls, each one screaming within the body of a monster they had never wanted to become. Up here in the fresh, chilly air, he could stand above all the sounds. Their thoughts could pierce through the clouds, stars and the moon casting silvery strands of light down upon him. Here he wasn't the King of the Dread. Here he wasn't a monster. He slowly turned toward a single Dread who stood behind him. The crumbling walls that used to surround this tower in carved arches silhouetted by beast. One of the Dread's wings hung at its side, and there was a chip in its right horn. Each detail should have been enough for him to know which one this was. A name, perhaps, even an occupation, and yet he remembered nothing, not even his own. The king let out a low grumble, and so the last infestation falls. Indeed it has, master. He waited for a moment for the release of tension in his chest, telling him to conquer every city and make it bend to his ways. This was the last hope, the last kingdom to remain untouched by the Dread. The dark desire in his chest remained unsatisfied. He never understood the desire to conquer, only knew it was part of his being. The King of the Dread was made to force the world onto its knees, and he done so time and time again. Why did his one feel as though it should have been different? He lifted a claw hand and waved it in the air. Good, you may go. The Dread hesitated. It took a step forward, a dangerous move, when it walked toward the largest of their kind and the only being who could destroy it. Its broken wings slithered along the stone, the rasp making his ears ache. The creature hissed. The others are wondering, what is the next? He didn't know. There was 1,000 other countries he could conquer, so many more he could force onto their knees, and yet he grew weary. He spent the long fighting and battling of what had it done. Perhaps he was merely dreaming, thinking he could do something more than just fight. Perhaps he thought After all, this was done. Once little marsh was his, that he could rest. The humans have fallen, he replied, with a low growl. There will be no time for decisions such as that. Not all the humans, the dread replied. Moonlight caught on the chipped horn and cast a jagged shadow behind the creature. One got away. One, he huffed out a low breath, rage consuming him. Who? We don't know, master. A woman burned the city onto the ground and escaped us. The others did not survive. So many lives, so many people. He could have added into his ranks, and a single woman had destroyed it all. He closed his hands into his fists, claws digging into his palms and slicing through leather skin. Drops of blood struck on the ground like rain. He stalked toward one of the arches and lashed out. His fist collided with stone and pulverized underneath the power of his strike. The bones in his hands rattled, but even granite didn't cut through his skin. Nothing but the claws of the dread could. The arch gave one last groan before its final support snapped. Wind whistled through the stone and plummeted toward the earth, then struck the ground with enough force to shake the chateau. This woman was the reason his soul hadn't found its peace. She was the reason he hadn't felt the ease of tension in his chest and continued to harbor the horrid desire to hurt more and more people. Glancing over his shoulder, he saw Find her. All right. And I know that was a short chapter, but basically, chapter 2 is just a short one. But the next video I will get into will be chapter 3. And so this is just, like I said, it's just a 5-chapter preview of the book 1, Gilded Rose by Emma Hamm. And like I said, after chapter 5 of Gilded Rose, I'll get into 5 chapters of Emerald Rose and 5 chapters into Midnight Rose. But in the meantime, this is Ty saying, get into reading. Bye!
Are you looking for adventure or something funny to make you laugh? Maybe a mystery or a drama, some of this and some of that. A library is like a big buffet. Try something different every day. So many books, so many stories.